he was extremely captivating, right? And it's like he made sure that his wardrobe was just as captivating as the music that he was delivering. What's up with the What's up, folks? Welcome back to the Puny Humans platform. I'm your host, True Victor, and we are back with another episode, baby. Okay, so you have caught us on what is this? I guess episode 2 of the King of Pop series. And we are getting ready to embark on the Off the Wall album. Okay. Right now I'm feeling like we're gonna pretty much go over. I change things up a bit, right? I tend to change things up a bit, but what I can say for 1,000% sure is we're going to do the Off the Wall album. We're going to dive into the Thriller album, obviously. Shout out to Thriller back there on the wall. I don't know if y'all can see that, but we're going to obviously dive into Thriller, and then we're going to dive into the Bad album. And then from there, I seen a couple other videos that I kind of wanted to dive into. Is it for certain that I'm going to bring them to the platform? I'm not 100% sure. But just know that this series is going to go for some time after this. Of course, I mentioned we're going to dive into the Temptations. All right. And then from the Temptations, I'm thinking we may dive into either Ray Charles, Jackie Wilson. I've been thinking about Frank Sinatra as well. I want to go over the illustrious career that Quincy Jones has had as well. So, I don't know if you guys can tell, but between the 50s and the 80s is my all-time favorite time period of the creation of music. So that's why those are the names that I'm kind of like, hard pressed on right now. Like the video, comment, subscribe to the channel, and if you can think of any other artists whose careers you would like us to dive into, please drop it in the comment section, and we'll get on top of it. All right, because of course over here at Puny Humans we do things that we like to do specifically, but we're also ultimately here to service you guys. So please, whatever you like to see, whatever you like to have us go over, break down, or dive into, drop it into the comment section. And let's go. This is see, I really don't like the framing of some of these titles of how they titled these videos. That's why, for us, we're going to title it diving into Off the Wall. But this video is because for instance, and I don't mean to be long-winded, but we have a certain structure that we're following with this series, and we're using certain videos to follow that structure. There may have been another intention for why this video was created, but we're using it to, again, follow a certain structure. So, why the video was created may not 100% be the reason that we're using it. All right. So this does say Michael Jackson was an industry plant, ... Obviously, we do not agree with that premise, but let's dive into the video.
Before he moonwalked into legend, before Thriller broke every record in the book, Michael Jackson was a 21-year-old artist with something to prove, and Off the Wall was his explosive rebirth. This wasn't just an album, it was a statement, a line in the sand. For the first time, Michael was free. No longer the child star from Motown, no longer just the voice of the Jackson 5. He wanted the world to hear him, on his terms, with his sound. But here's the wild part. Despite selling over 20 million copies and reinventing pop, Michael hated how the album was treated. Why? What made Off the Wall feel so personal to him, and why did he say it was ignored by the industry? Stick around, because what we're about to uncover explains not just how Michael Jackson changed pop, but why he was never the same after this album. If you're a fan of Michael's music journey, hit that subscribe button. We're diving into
Hit that
every
subscribe
album
button.
in his legendary career, starting with the one that started it all.
Wait, we diving into what?
After this album. If you're a fan of Michael's music journey, in his legendary career, subscribe button. We're diving into every album in his legendary career, starting with the one that started it all. Before Off
The Motown years.
the Wall, Michael Jackson was famous, but not free. He had spent nearly his entire life performing, first as the
It's so fun. Look at this guy, man. He was having so much fun performing. It's funny because you know, they say that Michael sung so strong before puberty and then through puberty, actually, that he actually damaged his voice. He damaged his vocal cords, right? Which is why on certain records, which I mean, it still sounds amazing, you can hear certain raspiness, especially when he's singing certain songs like "When I Had You." You know, it's just certain notes that he goes to, whereas though you can hear it starts to crack a bit. And I believe personally, although if you hear Butterfly, you know that Michael's falsetto was greatly intact. But, you know, I do believe that not only was it for the love of rock and roll and pop music, but also I feel that he transitioned into making that type of sounding music because, you know, he had to give the listeners a different side of his voice to listen to, right? And they say that that's one of the reasons why he made sure that the later records were majority produced heavy, right? This dude was a genius, and he did whatever he had to do to make sure he delivered an undeniable product. Let's go.
lead of the Jackson 5, then as a teen idol trying to stay relevant. Under the powerful grip of Motown Records, Michael's every move was scripted. The label controlled the songs, the image, even the interviews. He was a star, but not an artist. As the Jacksons matured, so did Michael's frustration. Behind the scenes, he was writing songs, experimenting with sounds, and dreaming of creative independence. But Motown didn't care. They had no intention of letting him produce or shape his own material.
Which is
By the
crazy.
mid-70s, the brothers had had enough. In 1975, they made the bold decision to leave Motown
Oh,
and
shit.
sign with Epic Records. For Michael, this was more than 1975. They made
They got their shit pressed out. I never seen this photo before, y'all. Have y'all ever seen this? He got his hair like they got it. It's actually only two of them. It looked like who is that? Michael and Tito. I mean Michael and Jermaine. Yo, man, they and it's so funny. Jermaine probably got it first, but Michael was so inspired by Jermaine that you know, he probably wanted to be like, I want my hair like Jermaine's. That's crazy. They had such a full bodied head of hair. It's crazy.
bold decision to leave Motown and sign with Epic Records. For Michael, this was more than a label change. It was a jailbreak. He was 17 years old, and for the first time in his life, he was beginning to glimpse the possibility of true artistic control.
Right.
But breaking free from Motown was only the beginning. Michael had
And he was so smart as a child, y'all. He was so um like intricate and particular with his craft that at the age, I believe he was either 8 or 9, right? They're in the studio and they're recording a record and it sounded off. And he asked the producer, he said, who's that singing? And they said, that's you, Michael. He said, that's not my voice. And they were like, Michael, that is your voice. He said something's off. So they checked everything and they said everything was fine. And Michael said, check the timing. And back then with that type of equipment, they had to like open something up and it was something that they used to put on the record to see if the timing was on track. And he was right. The timing was off. And from that point on, the engineer constantly checked things in the studio to make sure they were on point because it was kind of like an ego check. You know what I mean? Like they felt like, damn, this 8, 9 year old is hearing stuff that that we didn't even hear. You know what I mean? So this dude was something different, man.
ideas, but he still needed the right collaborator, someone who could help him unlock a sound the world had never heard before. And that's when fate stepped in. Sometimes the right partnership
Enters
changes
Quincy.
everything.
Yes.
In 1978,
Music
Michael
is
Jackson was cast as the Scarecrow in the film adaptation of The Wiz,
collaborative
a
process.
big-budget remake of The Wizard of Oz with an all-black cast. The movie
Yeah.
itself was a box office flop.
Not gonna lie, this movie was horrible. As he's saying, it was a box office flop. I don't like this movie. I'm just being honest. Michael was the highlight of the movie, or to Michael fans, he was the highlight of the movie. But this movie was horrible. Oh, what's going on here? Don't do that. Why would y'all do that? Why would y'all do that? I was about to say, what is going on? All right, let's get back to it, y'all. I'm sorry.
But behind the scenes, something far more important happened. Michael met the film's musical director, the legendary Quincy Jones. Quincy
Yeah.
wasn't just a producer. He was a jazz virtuoso, a composer, and a
Said, in here, keep those feet still, my man.
and a sonic architect who had worked with everyone from Sinatra to Ray Charles. Michael was
Mhm.
instantly drawn to Quincy's knowledge, taste, and vibe.
That's why we're going to
There was
dive into
mutual
his
respect,
career.
but also something deeper, a creative spark. Michael was searching for someone who would let him grow, who would treat him as a peer rather than a product. Quincy saw Michael's hunger and ambition and knew he had something special.
Yep.
When Michael asked Quincy to produce his next album,
Whew.
Epic Records hesitated. Quincy was seen as too jazzy, too
Right.
old school.
Right.
But Michael insisted. He wanted to work with someone who could help shape a sound
Charlie
that
Chaplin.
was bigger than pop, something genre-defying, boundary-breaking, and timeless. It was a risk, but this unlikely duo, a 21-year-old soul pop star and a seasoned jazz producer, would soon prove everyone wrong.
Mm-hmm.
And when they hit the studio, they didn't just record an album. They started a revolution.
Man, let's go.
Once Quincy and Michael teamed up, the studio became a laboratory, and Michael became a mad scientist of sound.
Mm.
The sessions for Off the Wall took place primarily at Westlake Recording Studios and Alan Zentz Recording in Los Angeles. And these weren't just ordinary sessions. This was Michael's first time fully stepping into the role of a producer, arranger, and creative director.
Mm.
Quincy brought in some of the best musicians in the business. There was Greg Fillinganes on keys, Louis Johnson on bass, and legendary songwriter Rod Temperton, the man behind Boogie Nights and eventually Thriller's title track. The
Mm.
talent in that room was ridiculous. Michael didn't just sing, he studied
Sounds
every
expensive.
aspect of the recording process. He layered harmonies with laser precision, beatboxed rhythms, and perfected every note until it felt just right.
Right.
Don't Stop Till You Get Enough was a turning point. Michael insisted on writing and producing the track himself, marking the first time he had total creative control over a song from start to finish.
Mm.
The result? A fresh, unstoppable fusion of disco, funk, jazz, and pop. The groove was undeniable. The sound was tight but explosive. This was Michael without the leash, and it sounded like freedom. And when the album was finally finished,
I didn't even know. So if I'm not mistaken, too, he was still with the Jacksons when he dropped Off the Wall. If I'm not mistaken, they should go over that though.
even the label executives were stunned. They knew it was good, but nobody expected what happened next. When Off the Wall dropped in August of 1979, it didn't just land, it exploded.
I bet.
The lead single, Don't Stop Till You Get Enough, was an instant smash. With its infectious horn stabs, hypnotic groove, and that unforgettable falsetto, it climbed all the way to #1 on the Billboard Hot 100. It wasn't just a hit, it was a new sound, funkier, sharper, cooler. Then came Rock With You. Smoother than silk and dripping with soul, it became another chart-topping anthem. And it didn't stop there. She's Out of My Life, a raw, tear-soaked ballad, showed a more vulnerable side of Michael. And of course, the title track, Off the Wall, reminded everyone that this young artist could command the dance floor and the airwaves at the same time.
Yes.
In total, the album produced 4 top 10 hits, something no black solo artist had ever accomplished before.
4 top 10s.
Critics praised Michael's maturity, his vocal control, his
go.
daring. He had evolved from teen sensation to full-blown superstar almost overnight.
Yes.
And the numbers backed it up. More than 20 million copies sold
them
globally,
socks.
multiple platinum certifications.
And this is before they had stuff like a stylist. Like this dude was dressing himself. You know what I mean? Like he was extremely captivating, right? And it's like he made sure that his wardrobe was just as captivating as the music that he was delivering. You know what I mean? Much respect.
Win for Best R&B Male Vocal Performance. But there was a problem. That was the only Grammy he won. But there was a problem. That was the only R&B Male Vocal Performance. But there certifications and a Grammy win for Best R&B Male Vocal Performance. But there was a problem. That was the only Grammy he won. And for Michael, that wasn't just disappointing. It was a gut punch.
Imagine today's artist getting 1 Grammy and being disappointed. He had it, and it's so funny because I believe that I'm such, a Michael supporter. Because, as I've said plenty of times, y'all, I've been writing music for, 2 decades, over 2 decades actually. And I'm such a perfectionist, but not only am I such a perfectionist, I hold myself to a ridiculously high standard. So while I can't imagine today's artist being, not satisfied with winning 1 Grammy, I can damn sure see myself not being satisfied with it. So, yeah.
Despite the massive success of Off the Wall, the Grammy Awards treated it like just another album. He had poured his soul into it. He had broken barriers, redefined pop, and delivered one of the most innovative records of the decade.
Right.
He wasn't just aiming for hits, he was aiming for history. But when the Grammy nominations came out, the recognition was shockingly slim. Michael only won a single award, Best R&B Male Vocal Performance, for Don't Stop Till You Get Enough. Not Album of the Year, not Record of the Year, not Pop Vocal. Nothing in the major categories.
Right.
The industry had applauded politely, then looked the other way. Michael was furious. Not publicly, of course. He smiled through it.
Right.
But privately, it hit him hard.
Yeah.
He saw it as a sign. No matter how brilliant the music was, he still wasn't being taken seriously.
Right.
Not as an artist, not as a force, not as a solo black performer redefining mainstream pop.
Right.
This wasn't just disappointment, it was motivation. Michael took that snub and turned it into fire. He began planning his next move, and it wouldn't just be another album. It would be a cultural earthquake. But while Thriller was still in the distance, the world was starting to realize something. Michael Jackson had just changed music, and most people didn't even know it yet. Off the Wall wasn't just a hit, it was a turning point. Before this album, pop music was still largely dominated by rock. Disco was dying and the industry was unsure where to go next, but Michael Jackson, with Quincy by his side, forged a new path. He didn't follow trends, he invented them. The sound of Off the Wall was a revelation. It blended funk's grit, disco's shimmer, soul's emotion, and pop's accessibility. Michael's vocals didn't just sing, they danced, snapped, whispered, and soared. Tracks like Get on the Floor and Working Day and Night brought complex rhythms into the mainstream.
Right.
I Can't Help It gave listeners a taste of smooth, jazz-influenced elegance. Suddenly, the idea of a black solo artist dominating pop radio didn't seem so impossible. Off the Wall set the template. It paved the way for artists like Prince, Madonna, and Janet Jackson to blend genres and break the rules.
Janet.
It redefined what pop music could sound like and who was allowed to lead it. But even as the hits climbed and the influence spread, not everything on Off the Wall was made for the charts. Some of its most powerful moments were hiding in plain sight. Everyone remembers Rock With You and Don't Stop Till You Get Enough. But Off the Wall was more than its singles. It was an album rich with layers, nuance, and songs that revealed new magic with every listen.
Right.
Take I Can't Help It, for example. Written by Stevie Wonder and Suze Green, it's a smooth, jazzy track that showcases Michael's softer vocal side. It wasn't a radio smash, but it became a fan favorite, a glimpse into his musical curiosity and sophistication. Then there's Girlfriend, a breezy, Beatles-esque song penned by Paul McCartney. It felt playful and light, but beneath the surface, it hinted at the future. The eventual collaboration and business tension between the two superstars would come years later. And She's Out of My Life, that ballad cut deep. Michael's voice breaks on the final notes, and it wasn't an act. He reportedly cried during every take. It was raw, human, vulnerable. A far cry from the controlled pop persona people thought they knew. This wasn't just a dance record.
You see what that just said, though, y'all? Let me see. The Jacksons, Destiny Tour, Oakland Arena. He's in.
A far cry from the controlled pop persona people thought.
You see, he's on his Rock With You vibe right here, right? Got the socks. He was still with the Jacksons when he dropped Off the Wall.
New. This wasn't just a dance record. It was a coming-of-age story. It reflected a young man exploring independence, desire, fear, joy, and heartbreak, all in under 42 minutes. The emotions were real. The artistry was undeniable. Over time, critics began to reevaluate the album. Rolling Stone would later rank it among the greatest albums ever. Artists cited it as a foundational influence. And yet, even as its legend grew, Michael always felt it didn't get the love it deserved.
Right.
Why Michael said it was underrated. Despite Off the Wall's commercial success and long-term impact, Michael Jackson never felt it got the recognition it deserved, especially from the industry that claimed to celebrate innovation. In later interviews, Michael called Off the Wall his favorite album, not because it sold the most, but because it was the most him. It was pure, honest, created without pressure or expectation. It was his first true statement as a solo artist, and he believed it should have been a game changer. But the Grammys didn't treat it like one. The media barely understood it, and Michael noticed. He once said it was totally unfair that it didn't get Record of the Year or Album of the Year. It was the best album of the year. The sting of being overlooked stayed with him. It hardened his ambition. It fueled the perfectionism that would define the rest of his career. He realized that being talented wasn't enough. If he wanted to be respected, If he wanted to change the game, he'd have to dominate it completely.
Right.
That's why Thriller was so calculated, so relentless, so obsessed with scale. Michael wasn't just making music anymore. He was proving a point, and that point began right here with Off the Wall. This album wasn't just the start of a new sound. It was the start of a new Michael. Before the moonwalk, before the red leather...
Boy was dancing his ass off, man.
And before Thriller shattered every ceiling, there was Off the Wall.
Yes.
It was the sound of a young genius stepping out of the shadow.
And people that, let me go end it here. There are people that, say that Off the Wall, wasn't his best album. Maybe they like Thriller more. Maybe they like Bad more. Maybe they like History more. Maybe they like Dangerous more. The simple fact of it is, without Off the Wall, you get none of those albums. The funny thing is, Off the Wall wasn't even his first album. It's just where we're starting from here, but if I'm not mistaken, let me see. Yeah, his first album was with Motown. Yeah, and it was called Got to Be There. But let me see. Got to Be There is the debut solo studio album by the American singer Michael Jackson, released by Motown January 24th, 1972, 4 weeks after the Jackson 5's greatest hits. It includes the song of the same name, which was released on October 7th, 1971, as Jackson's debut solo single. So the success from that single is what made them capitalize on, that momentum and drop Got to Be There. Now, while he was still young, I believe that not only was it because he was still young, but because he didn't have the creative control on that album, it's why it's kind of not really, people like it, I like it, but it's not really, held up there as high as Off the Wall. Off the Wall is, to many, considered Michael's first mainstream solo album. Listen, this is only the beginning, guys. We're only 3 episodes in. Well, I guess 2, because the first one we did 1 and then 1.2. So this is only 2 episodes in. We have a lot more of this King of Pop series to get through. This was Off the Wall, and next up will be Thriller. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Like, comment, subscribe, and until next time, folks, I'm your host, True Victor, and this is the Punemius platform. Walls over the walls up.
She think she the best. I'm trying to see what's up. She might be correct. Mommy on my top like a do-rag. Drinking barefoot like where your shoe at. I'm sipping my wet now. Her pussy get wet now. My reciprocate now. Pull up in the his and hers Bentley. You asked for the guys, so they sent me. Golden child gifted. Rockin' to the engine, start season. I'm recording to the tennis, get evicted. I'm a motherfucking menace. Hot nigga with a cold heart. Hot niggas, it get all dark.